Gentleman from New Jersey is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you. And I thank my good friend for yielding. I want to thank Michael McCall, our chairman, for very quickly bringing this important resolution to the floor, along with the great support of Gregory Meeks, the ranking member. And I especially want to thank Kathy Manning for authoring this extraordinarily timely resolution condemning the despicable rise of anti-Semitism around the world and calling on our international organizations and countries to embrace the global guidelines for countering anti-Semitism. Kathy, you've done a wonderful job. It's been a privilege to serve with you as co-chair of the Combating Antisemitism Caucus. And this resolution just says it all. And I want to thank you for doing it and doing it so well. I also want to just say a few points. One, the spiritual cancer of anti-Semitism is metastasizing not only in our own country, but in many countries as well, at a rate that is both shocking and sickening. The evidence of it are everywhere, including at our college campuses and university campuses. Is this not Harvard and NYU? In my own state university, Rutgers, I was there when people were camping out, and I was accosted verbally by some people, and the hatred was just pouring out of their lips and out of their eyes. The hatred for Jews is unconscionable. Of course, one of the most recent horrors, as you've pointed out, was the Amsterdam pogrom earlier this month, a horrific mob assault on the Israeli soccer fans. It was repulsive on at least two levels. First, the brutal evil of the attackers themselves, but also the so-called respectable opinion makers who just said, oh, they shifted the blame. This is all about anti-immigration sentiment or prejudice, and even Israel. You know, Natan Sharansky, one of the greatest human rights individuals who has ever lived, I had him at 2 hearings. I tried to visit him and actually was in Perm Camp 35 in the 1980s, where the Soviet Union had housed him. Frank Wolf and I went there. When he got out, he came and testified, and he said, you know, if you don't chronicle the hatred, and that's included in these global guidelines, you can't combat it. And it must be defined very clearly, especially by law enforcement, so it's not just brushed off as hooliganism or other kinds of things. You need to define it and to do so with specificity. He also talked about the 3 Ds that we are seeing manifesting vis-a-vis Israel every day of the week, and that is delegitimization, double standard, and demonization, double standard, and delegitimization, those 3 Ds. He talked about that and said that is a cover for anti-Semitism. Disagree with the Knesset all you want, or with Netanyahu, but once you lower yourselves into those 3s, we see it at the UN every day. I chaired 4 hearings this Congress alone, more than 3 dozen over the years, on combating anti-Semitism, about how the UN is rife, including the UN Human Rights Council, with anti-Semitism. It's just unbelievable how bad it is. UNRWA, as you know, Kathy, UNRWA is filled to overflowing with Hamas sympathizers and Hamas activists who teach children each day of the week to hate Jews and to kill. Just read the Hamas charter. It says if you see a Jew behind a rock, kill him or her. And that is what is being funded by the U.S. government, and funded, not right this minute, but it has been in the recent past, and we should never do it again. Let me also say that the guidelines, you know, and I encourage every member to read them. They're very simple. They parallel the OSCE conference that was held in 2002, and then the Berlin conference in 2004. Well, the idea of the conference came out of a hearing I chaired in 2002. I recommended it, and the OSCE took it up, the Bush administration took it up, and that conference had the Berlin Declaration in 2004. Rabbi Baker from the AJC did a masterful job, and a few others, but especially him, in smithing a tremendous action plan, and of course these global guidelines certainly parallel that. So this, and you mentioned, and certainly the special Ambassador Lipstadt, just for the record, I authored that legislation. We got it passed here in a bipartisan way, and it took months, years, for the U.S. Senate to take it up. They finally did, and the Ambassador at Large, the Special Envoy, Ambassador Lipstadt, is doing a magnificent job. Silence is not an option. We know it. In the fight against anti-Semitism, we need government at all levels to denounce, chronicle, and prosecute where these thoughts matriculate into evil deeds. You know, we know that you know, if you just stand by idly, you enable it. You need to call it out. This resolution, very, very fine resolution that it is, and I thank you, Kathy, for authoring it, calls out this anti-Semitism and says stop it. And
Gentleman's
embrace it.
time has
Yield
expired.
back.